Today in the show, we have the House of Mouse headlines brought to you by laughingplace.com, your up-to-date resource for the latest Disney news every day of the week. This episode is being released on February 8th, 2023, and today we're catching up on lots of Disney news that was announced during the podcast hiatus, plus some of the latest news mixed in. And perhaps the most important news of the year, there is now a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids tribute in Disneyland Park. It's all coming your way right now.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
A brand new superhero-themed drone show has debuted at Walt Disney Studios Park at Disneyland Paris, and it's impressive even if you're not a Marvel fan. Avengers: Power of the Night is an all-new show that combines projections upon the Tower of Terror with some fireworks and 500 drones. Among the spectacles displayed during the show are Captain America tossing his shield from projection form into the night sky, a giant Spider-Man attaching himself to the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and much more. This new show is part of Disneyland Paris' 30th anniversary grand finale and is set to perform through May 8th, 2023. After 4 years, the Walt Disney World Railroad finally reopened just days before Christmas. Guests can once again board at Main Street USA, Frontierland, or Storybook Circus for a scenic tour around the Magic Kingdom, which now includes traveling under the canopy of Tron Light Cycle Run. The Walt Disney World Railroad is now open daily, so hop aboard. A popular character dining will soon be returning to Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, as the princesses will once again meet guests at Cinderella's royal table. As announced back in December, this experience will resume starting February 28th. Guests have not been able to see characters in this restaurant since the resort's parks temporarily closed in 2020, even though the venue itself reopened in September of that year. For reservations at Cinderella's royal table and other character dining experiences, be sure to visit the Walt Disney World site or the My Disney Experience app. Fans of character meet and greets will definitely want to head to Disney's Hollywood Studios, as the park has recently added some special interactions. First, guests can now meet with Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, Frozone, and Edna Mode near Echo Lake. Meanwhile, Max is now appearing in the famous Powerline costume from a Goofy movie. Plus, just in time for Valentine's Day, Chip and Dale can be found with their dual love interest, Clarice, through February 14th, and starting February 15th, you'll instead be able to find Chip and Dale in their Rescue Rangers costumes over by the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. So keep an eye out for these characters and more, because you never know who you might meet in Hollywood. When new park maps were released in conjunction with the start of the 2023 Epcot International Festival of the Arts last month, some fans noticed that the updated leaflets no longer showed the announced Play Pavilion. Following this, Disney revealed that they were reevaluating the concept of the pavilion and would be sharing an update on what is to come to the former Wonders of Life area at a later date. Questions about the fate of the project have loomed over it since the parks reopened and increased as there was no real mention of the Play Pavilion at the 2022 D23 Expo. Nevertheless, while some previously announced projects have been shelved along the way, the transformation of Epcot does continue, with Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, set to open later this year, and work continuing on Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza. Recently, Walt Disney World cast members who are part of the Service Trades Council voted against a proposed contract offer. The rejected offer would have seen Walt Disney World cast members receive a gradual increase in pay to $20 an hour over the next 5 years, effectively giving cast members raises of $1 per hour each year. It has been reported that 96% of the more than 14,000 workers who voted rejected Disney's proposal. This vote will lead both parties back into negotiations, which have been in progress since August 2022. Just in time for Black History Month, a new video has debuted in the lobby of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln at Disneyland Park and tells the story of the relationship between the 16th president and abolitionist Frederick Douglass. In striving to create a culture of inclusion for cast and guests to feel seen and heard, the highly collaborative project team included representatives from Walt Disney Imagineering, National Geographic, and the Disneyland Resort Pulse Business Employee Resource Group. While the edition corresponds to the Celebrate Soulfully promotion at the parks, the pre-show video is expected to be a long-running installation, meaning you can catch it on your next visit to Disneyland in the Opera House. In some disappointing news for fans of the Disneyland Resort All-American College Band, a post on the program's official Facebook page says that it will be taking a hiatus. However, as the OC Register reports, Disney does say that the program is being refreshed by its project team and that they remain committed to offering educational experiences that embrace the ever-evolving educational landscape of colleges across the country. Still, no restart date was provided. Disneyland's All-American College Band program was first established back in 1971 and has been a summer staple of the resort since. Thus, many guests will be keeping an eye on these developments and what could be next for the program. Here's something you don't hear very often. Some prices have gone down at Disneyland. Recently, the resort rolled back the cost of Savi's Workshop and Droid Depot offerings at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. This change brought the cost of building a custom lightsaber from $250 to $220, while droids saw prices fall from $120 to $100. Interestingly, Batuu East has yet to follow suit with these reductions, but time will tell if their price hikes, which were enacted last October, will be reversed as well. In just a few days, Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland will play host to a virtual fashion show showing off a number of new wedding gowns. On February 10th, Disney Fairy Tale Weddings and Honeymoons will unveil the 2023 Disney Fairy Tale Weddings collection from Allure Bridals during a special virtual fashion show. The event will give viewers a first look at 21 brand new wedding gowns inspired by Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Tiana, and Rapunzel. To tune in, be sure to visit the Disney Parks YouTube channel on Friday. Disney Plus and Lucasfilm have announced that the second volume of the animated anthology series Star Wars Visions will premiere exclusively on Disney Plus on May 4th, 2023, aka Star Wars Day, while also revealing the animation houses that will be collaborating on this season's releases. This round of shorts was created by international animation studios such as Ireland's Cartoon Saloon, Chile's Punk Robot, South Africa's Triggerfish, the UK's Aardman, and many more. In total, 9 shorts will be part of the latest collection. You can check out all of these shorts on Disney Plus starting Star Wars Day, and can view Season 1 of Visions on the streaming service right now. In a surprising reveal at a recent Television Critics Association press event, Disney announced that Phineas and Ferb would be returning for a brand new set of episodes. This comes as the company has also inked a new overall deal with co-creator Dan Povenmire. 40 new episodes of the popular show will be put into production to span 2 seasons. Additionally, Povenmire's other show, Hamster and Gretel, has been renewed for a second season, and he's developing some live-action projects as well. In a statement, Povenmire said of the news, "It has been the greatest pleasure of my career to see how an entire generation of kids and parents have embraced the characters and the humor of Phineas and Ferb. I'm eagerly looking forward to diving back into the show for them and for a whole new generation." What was just a prop in the upcoming film Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is now set to be an actual book. In September, look out for The Little Guy by Scott Lang will hit store shelves, telling the incredible story of how an ex-con became a world-saving superhero. Across his many adventures, big and small, Scott has gathered the wisdom of countless amazing experiences into this, the first memoir from a real-life Avenger. Look Out for the Little Guy is now available for pre-order on Amazon and other retailers ahead of its release on September 5th, 2023. And now it's time to bring in Kyle Burbank from laughingplace.com. Hello, Kyle. Welcome to Season 10 of Disney Coast to Coast.
Thank you, Jeff. It's so good to see you again. It feels like it's been an eternity.
It has been quite a long time, and you know what? I was not planning on starting the season with a House of Mouse headlines, but man, January and February are no longer slow news periods for the theme park industry, because holy crap, I feel like they dropped a lot on us, and therefore we need to talk about it. Agreed?
Oh my gosh, there is definitely so much. It felt like every week, you're like, this is going to be the week that it's slow, and then there's even stuff that we're not talking about, like the whole proxy war and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the funny thing was, like, there was a week of like the Disney Universal Battle week of like who can have the better news, and like I always find those just really funny and fun as a theme park fan. But Yeah, it was a crazy January with the announcements. So let's jump into some of it. Let's start with new story details for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Now, as we know, the story takes place after the movie, and within the attraction queue, guests will discover that Tiana continues to grow her business with Tiana's Foods, an employee-owned cooperative. Combining her talents with those of the local community, Tiana has transformed an aging salt mine and built a beloved brand. The endeavor began when Tiana purchased the salt mine and the area surrounding the large salt dome it operated from. Tiana revived the old salt mine and the surrounding land, growing a wide array of vegetables, herbs, and spices for her recipes. Tiana's Foods is where Tiana and her colleagues create all sorts of new products that they're bringing to the world, including a line of original hot sauces. You think Disney merchandising might be working on some hot sauces right now?
I know several people that are really, really, really hoping so.
Oh, I would be shooketh if they were not.
Although if they're Disney hot sauces, how hard are they really going to be? That's the question.
I think Disney fans can handle the heat. What are you saying, Kyle?
I think in the past few years, they've definitely made spicier things. But yeah, it used to be like, spicy on a theme park menu doesn't mean the same thing as in the real world, or like a fast food place even.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say I had some food at Lunar New Year at Disney California Adventure, and there is a spicy stand, and it was spicy. Like it definitely like had heat, more so than I expected. So I was like, all right, cool. So in any case, I'm pretty sure they're going to be working on hot sauces for consumer products there. But in any case, Tiana wants to give a big thanks to her family and friends and the entire community for all the support they've given her by throwing an amazing party during Mardi Gras season. When it turns out there's been a bit of a mix-up with the party preparations, Tiana invites us to meet her at Tiana's Foods to help with the missing ingredient for the party. Food for the party is being prepared and beignets are being loaded into crates for the celebration. All kinds of preparations are underway for the journey into the Bayou with Tiana, along with new and familiar friends from the animated film. I have a feeling those new friends are going to be like birds and frogs and...
Well, we've seen some. There was like a porcupine and...
Yeah.
Things like that.
Tiana continues bringing people together with Tiana's Foods, another treasured meeting place to spend time together and celebrate a diverse community. It feels like they're kind of trying to make up for something here. Right? Tiana is also working with cooperative members to teach gardening and cooking to children of all ages and inspiring other women to run successful businesses as the brand grows nationwide. Now, this, of course, is opening at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World in late 2024. Any thoughts about what we heard? It's kind of weird how they're, like, dripping this news out.
Yeah, I mean... It makes sense because if you look at like the original concept art, like it's going to be something. They didn't have it all nailed down yet, but like the broad strokes of this story we already kind of knew, and now they're just kind of filling it in more and more. So
I feel like there's a file with Tiana factoids that they're basically like, okay, when we need to drop something because Universal
when there's a union vote that we lose 96%.
Yeah, they're like,
we'll drop that at the same time.
Let's drop a little Tiana news. So
because this came out on a Friday night, so you know that it was something that they were sitting on to release, not just like something that they wanted to release or thought was important.
Well, the funny thing is that like this is the story of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like from the beginning, it was announced long before they planned on it. Because what was the situation?
I think it was after George Floyd, and then it kind of brought attention to other things.
Yes, it was the Black Lives Matter movement that it got announced at. I mean, they've never said it, but I'm pretty sure they announced this way sooner than they ever anticipated. So it's very interesting. But yeah, as we said, it continues to drip. It sounds like it's going to be fine. I have a lot of... It's disappointing that Tiana isn't getting like a brand new attraction from the ground up because I think she deserves it. But after seeing what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout and how they rethemed the Tower of Terror so beautifully, I have high hopes for this. It's certainly going to be a fun ride. We all know it's like the same track, so...
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be... Obviously, there's bigger questions in Florida than there are in California just because it's New Orleans, and we'll get to more of that. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, now, speaking of Orlando and Florida and, Tiana's Bayou Adventure in the Magic Kingdom, there was a little attraction there called Splash Mountain that closed this past January 23rd. And just curious, have you been spending any time on eBay lately, Kyle?
I have not. No, I have not. This isn't like necessarily a new thing. I know people have done this sort of thing before, but I don't know who's paying for this.
For like what attractions has, if you don't know what we're talking about, people have bottled water from Splash Mountain and are selling it for like around $100 on eBay, or at least posting it for that much. I don't know how much it's actually selling for. This is just insanity to me. By the way, if anybody listening is one of those people who paid, 3 figures for some water from Splash Mountain, let me tell you, there's a really great Patreon called Disney Coast to Coast where I think that money would go much further than a jar of water that will very likely evaporate. So in any case, yeah, wild to see this happening, but not surprising, I guess. But what did you see this in before?
Oh, more usually a little bit more tangible things. People save any sort of memories, or I don't know. Rebecca from Laughing Place shared a few examples that she saw, but I can't remember any of them now. The specificity of a jar of water.
So yeah, Splash Mountain closed. I mean, the lines were insane. Is Disney selling like farewell merchandise for this or not?
No, okay. Not that I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, they still had the press penny thing open, which I think is actually one of them, or a couple of them are still open. But no, I didn't see any farewell.
Okay, because if they did, I feel like that would be in bad taste, considering the reason they're closing it. But I must say that, I think they should just kind of close it one day at Disneyland. I know that would piss off a lot of people, but it was kind of insane at Magic Kingdom. Watch it. What did it get up to? 6-hour waits or something?
I didn't see 6 hours. I saw almost 3.
Okay. Oof.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't go higher, but when I saw it, it was usually around that.
And by the way, does the water from Splash Mountain not run into the rivers of America?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it does. So we could just bottle some Rivers of America water. We didn't really lose it, folks, is what I'm getting at, except for the bottles that ended up on eBay. In any case, let's move on with some more Tiana news, because soon the French Market restaurant in New Orleans Square at Disneyland will be reimagined into Tiana's kitchen. Now, this has just been no-brainer, long time coming sort of Imagineering, I would say.
Yeah, but I wish that they would. I think they're calling it Tiana's Palace, and I wish it was Tiana's Palace 2 or something to kind of explain why it's not the one that it is in the movie.
Yeah, so there's a couple things with this. I agree with what you just said, but on top of that, I really wish it wasn't going into French Market. I wish it was, and I know obviously this would cost a lot more money, and it's more of a completely redo if they were to do this, but I wish it were taking over the Hungry Bear restaurant in Critter Country, because I just don't get where Critter Country is going to be. And I just really feel like with this transformation of Splash Mountain, it just needs to be gobbled up.
Louis' Gumbo Shack.
Yeah, so I mean, something like that. And then, I know Winnie the Pooh's there, but I don't know. I just don't feel like that's enough to have a land. So I'll be very curious to see what happens with Critter Country. But having a Tiana restaurant just makes sense. It's already a pretty popular restaurant, at least the to-go window for the mint julep and the beignets, and it's just going to get more and more popular. So,
and those are going to be closed for a little bit, but they will be back, is what that says.
That's right. So, lots of Tiana news there. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, Disney Live Entertainment is seeking submissions from musical theater performers for an exciting new Broadway-caliber theatrical production at the Disneyland Resort, planned for a limited run in the state-of-the-art indoor 2,000-seat Hyperion Theater at Disney California Adventure. It's about time. That thing has been empty for far too long. If you don't know, this is where Frozen the Musical Spectacular was, and before that, Aladdin the Musical Spectacular. Was that the name of Frozen? Or no, it was Frozen Live at the Hyperion, I believe. And then Aladdin, a Musical Spectacular. So a beautiful venue that hasn't been used since the shutdown of the pandemic. So I'm happy something's going in there. This new musical project will come to life through the creativity of Disney Live Entertainment in partnership with book writer Hunter Bell, and featuring music by Emmy-nominated and Grammy-winning composer Christopher Lennertz. Bell wrote the book for Villains Tonight on the Disney Cruise Line, while Lennertz served as music director on Disneyland's new Wondrous Journeys fireworks show. And we really don't have details. I know Laughing Place kind of has their theory, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, we have a few. So the first description in this casting, the first role that it talks about, mentions a Greek chorus. So initially people are like, oh my gosh, it's Hercules. Like that just makes perfect sense. They already have it at Paper Mill. They can condense that down. But then as you read the other roles, some of them kind of fit, some of them don't, especially when there's one that says a strong British accent. So if I had to place my chips on anything right now, I'm going with Rogers the Musical. There's the English accent would be like Peggy Carter. There's the one about like someone coming into his own. That would be Steve Rogers. And 1940 Steve Rogers and 2000 Steve Rogers can be the same thing because he's Frozen. And then there's a Tony Stark sounding character about having like a wry sense of humor. And they performed it at the Parks panel, or was it the Parks panel, or was it different?
It was not the Parks panel because I didn't see it.
It was the live action presentation. They did Save the City. So I think that'd be fun. And obviously this is right next to Avengers Campus now. So that would make some sense. My other thing was like maybe if they mash up Disney's Hercules with Marvel's Hercules because he's in the MCU now. If you spoiler alert, if you didn't see the last Thor movie. But yes, I think Rogers the Musical makes the most sense, but it could be something entirely different and be a match, because you mentioned villains tonight, so it could be a mashup of several different properties. But the bottom line is I don't think this is going to be like the past couple shows that we're used to, where it's just a retelling of a story.
Now, do you want to hear something shocking?
Sure.
I would be totally fine with Rogers the Musical. I don't know what it is. I know in a Captain America film, right? This was a thing.
So what this is, in the Hawkeye series, they go to a play or a musical on Broadway, Rogers the Musical, and the song that it features is written by Mark Shaman, and it's called Save the City, and it's the Battle of New York from Avengers. And Rogers the Musical will be about Steve Rogers.
And interestingly, they mention, Christopher Lennertz, who is a composer, but they're not saying he's composing songs for this. They're saying he's serving as music director, which means potentially somebody else's music that he's directing. So it could be the Mark Shaman music. But like you said, the proximity to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, it does make sense. Listen, I don't love the idea of Avengers Campus continuing to just spread bigger and bigger, but at least it's touching. It bothers me. The San Francisco thing with Marvel Big Hero 6, that bothers me more because it's on a different part of the park, but whatever. And then there's still the shop in Hollywoodland, which is completely unnecessary, but regardless. Something in that space is good news. The Hercules thing, I could understand that as well because, as you said, they're doing it at Paper Mill, and they kind of did that with Frozen. Frozen was on Broadway. I can't remember which came first, whether it was the Hyperion or Broadway, but they kind of did those simultaneously, so I could see that happening as well. I think it's less likely. I feel like that's really niche. I don't know. I don't know if Hercules would fill the space. 2,000 seats is a lot.
I think it's that Greek chorus thing that kind of threw people off.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. Like I said, I don't know if it necessarily even needs to be a singular story, but it is a limited time thing that they've said, and it's going to be coming in summer or being developed for the summer. But yeah, maybe have Rogers the Musical come in the summer and add some capacity to that park.
Here's the thing about the term limited run. That means nothing to me when it comes to Disney. Fantasmic was a limited run and Harmonious was a long running show. So, it means nothing. If it's popular, it'll stay is what it comes down to. But cool. All right, moving on. Disneyland Resort announces earlier park hopping and free on-ride PhotoPass downloads. Formerly, the ability to hop between parks has been restricted at the Disneyland Resort as a result of changes resulting from the park reservation system put in place after the COVID-19 closure. When park hopping was re-implemented, it was set at 1 p.m. They revealed that the new park hopping time at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure will now be 11 a.m. It was also announced that as a thank you to Disneyland Resort guests, Disney PhotoPass digital photo downloads captured on any Disney PhotoPass available attraction during a park visit will be complimentary for all ticketed park guests on the Disneyland app throughout the Disney 100 celebration at the Disneyland Resort. This is great. I wish it was no AM instead of 11 AM, but hey, we're heading in the right direction. And this just feels, to me, these little gifts, for lack of a better term. To me, they're just like apologies for Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. That's just what it feels like to me. It's no secret. I know they're making a crap ton of money with it, but like the surveys are through the roof bad when it comes, like the guest satisfaction with those are terrible. But it's like we're making too much money to get rid of it, so we'll throw you a bone here and there. I don't think, neither of these cost the company anything. And PhotoPass, if anything, is just good social media marketing for them. So, it's cool, but it's nothing.
And it's only on-ride ones where they're not really staffed by anyone either.
Yeah. So, listen, we'll take it, but I see what you're doing, Disney. I see what you're doing. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Disney 100 because it has begun at Disneyland Resort. And the big things with this, obviously, there's a ton to this. We'll get more into it as the season goes on. It's going on for over a year, so no worries. But World of Color 1 has premiered, which is a brand new show. Wondrous Journeys at Disneyland has begun as well. It's fantastic. Like,
I've heard really great things, and I've seen some of it because what I did was Mike got a video of, he's kind of far from the castle, but he's on Main Street facing the castle. Then he has one of the Main Street projections, one of Rivers America, and one of Small World. So I put all four in one video.
Oh, beautiful.
That you can watch at the same time.
Look at Laughing Place doing their work. Mike is a hustler. Mike Celestino over on your team. Whenever I see him in the parks, that boy is hustling. So yeah, I mean, I saw it from Main Street, and I saw it from the Disneyland Hotel in one of the rooms with the music playing through the TV, and it's just like I texted the show director after, and I used some profanity, and I was just like, dude, this is unbleeping believable. And he was very happy to hear that. It's great. I'm gonna have to talk more about it at some point, but like, it's in the top fireworks shows for Disneyland for me. And I went in very blind. Like, I knew nothing about it because I just purposefully avoided it. And I was in Disneyland, and I was like, well, let's take the crapshoot and see if fireworks go off tonight. And very, very happily they did. And they really knocked this one out of the park. It was great.
Yeah, and then Tony on our team has also been going through and trying to find, they said there's references to every Disney animated classic in this.
Yeah.
So he's found most of them. I think he's still missing a couple.
Has he found the Black Cauldron?
I think so, because that wasn't one of the ones that he said he hadn't found yet.
All right. Impressive.
I mean, there's also, April 2 Bust a Moo is in there, so.
What's that from?
Yeah, that was the tagline for Home on the Range.
Oh, can I tell you something? I've still never seen that movie. I'm going to watch it.
I haven't seen that, but I also haven't seen Encanto, so my word means nothing.
I still haven't seen Strange World. I'm
Neither
terrible. I'm terrible. I got to hop on Disney Plus and watch some of that stuff. I should watch Home on the Range and do an episode, though, because I really doubt it's as bad as people say. I just can't imagine it's that bad. So I'm going to have to check that one out. Anywho, in addition to those two nighttime spectaculars, as part of the launch of Disney 100, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is now open in Mickey's Toontown, although the land is not officially open. But most importantly, there is a Jeff DePauli corner in the queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is full of parody movie posters, one of them parodying Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, another parody of Newsies, and another parody of Hocus Pocus, I believe all lined up next to each other. Holy hell, my brain exploded when I saw this.
Yeah, I definitely thought of you when we were getting photos of the queue. I didn't realize they were right across from each other, but I was like, oh my gosh, I just realized, because I sent you the honey one, and then I realized what it was surrounding were also like right in your wheelhouse, so...
I mean, there is now official representation of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in Disneyland Park, and it ain't going anywhere. And we got it at Epcot at Walt Disney World with Imagination, but like, hopefully that one sticks around. But I mean, there is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids representation in the parks, and that is a glorious thing. It's like that fact of, It's a Small World never stops playing because it's always playing somewhere around the world. Well, guess what? Both domestic parks have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids tributes, and that is equally as important, I would say.
My friend was disappointed that there wasn't an ad for the Roger Rabbit short on it, though, just to be like extra meta.
Yeah, that would have been great. But what was it? It was Minnie, I Shrunk the Nieces or something like that.
None of the parody names are good, but it's there, and that's all that matters.
And it was definitely more about the the visual. Obviously they look like the original movie posters. I think the Hocus Pocus one was called like Miska Muska, and Newsies was like Toonsies or something like that. Yeah, not as good as the ones they've done in Cars Land in the past, but
Muppets are my favorite.
Oh, the Muppet parodies, yeah. Yeah, those are fun. I used to have calendars of those as a kid.
Wow.
All the time, but cool. Now, that was some good stuff that happened for Disney 100, but we cannot move on without talking about some stuff that was just embarrassing. I'm sure some of you have seen on social media, of course, they have these banners all around the Disneyland Resort celebrating 100 years of the company. So these banners will say things like Disneyland 1955 or whatever, just the years of the attractions, movies, celebrating the history of the company. Well, some folks didn't do their research because at least 2 of them had wrong dates. I know
there are more than that.
Yeah, it was Matterhorn, I know for sure, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Do you know of any others?
No, it was those 2, but there was also one that said Walt Disney World, but
Yes.
Disney World was like one word.
Yep, Disney World spelled as one word. And listen, I know this is a little nitpicky, but at the same time, we all know how many people have to approve this stuff. And
exactly.
It's
even the person
flabbergasting.
hanging it should have been like, wait a minute.
Well, them I don't blame the people hanging it at all. They're probably not even reading them. But I mean, this is an embarrassing error on a celebration that's supposed to be celebrating the company, and the company can't even get the facts straight. That's just embarrassing. Even having just been at the Disneyland Resort this weekend, there were banners missing. I could see spots where they were just gone because obviously they removed the bad ones, but they didn't replace them with anything. So it's obvious there was an error. Not good. And then to make matters even worse, at the entrance to Main Street USA, they have a Mickey Mouse statue that says, quote, "It all started with a mouse." And although that might sound familiar, the true quote is, "It was all started by a mouse." Of course, this is a famous Walt Disney quote.
That quote on the video, but I this is one that I feel like it's used so frequently, and he might have said, just like he also called Epcot City of Tomorrow at one point. I think this one, is less egregious, honestly.
I would have been okay with it if it wasn't in quotation marks, but it is in quotation
Well, somebody said it, Jeff. It doesn't attribute it to Walt Disney.
Fair enough. Does it? I don't know, actually.
No, it doesn't. It just says the quote.
The guy who made the statue said it. It was all started with a mouse. So I don't know. I'm not thrilled about it. But the other thing that bothers me even more, listen, I get it. It's Mickey. But if this is a Disney 100 celebration, I don't really think a Mickey statue is the thing that makes the most sense. Mickey didn't come around until 1928. We're celebrating 1923. Oswald started in 1927. Really, it should be an Alice comedy statue, which the contract was...
Have you been over to the Disneyland Resort?
I have,
Hotel?
to the hotel, yes. At the Disneyland Hotel, they have a really fun black and white photo op with the little Alice as well as Walt and the old studio and stuff. And that is very nice. In fact, I took a picture with it, and they do have that. I don't know. I didn't love this. Also, the statue's kind of small when you're just used to a giant Mickey pumpkin or a giant Christmas tree. Wasn't, for multiple reasons, wasn't my favorite choice, but it's there and it's going to be there for a long time. I'll be very curious to see if they fix the quote. I don't think they will, but...
Well, why does the Minnie one say, "A dream is a wish your heart makes"? Just nothing makes sense.
Yeah, but I will say that one's not in quotes, I believe. But agreed, it's just kind of random. So, listen, some misses with Disney 100. We'll see if they fix them. I'm sure the banners are being fixed as we speak, and I would like to know whose head rolled for that because...
Did you get on the ride?
Yes. No, I didn't. I got in the park late, so I was in the park even after the 1 p.m. virtual queue. So I've done it in Florida.
You didn't see World of Color 1?
No, I will be doing that this upcoming weekend. So my priority was the fireworks because I just knew there was a chance it would get canceled. So I figured if it does, I'll run over to World of Color and try next week.
I've enjoyed everything I've seen from World of Color 1. I didn't watch the full video because I'd rather go see it in person, but I really like what I've heard of the song.
Okay, yeah, I've been avoiding that one as well. If I know I'm going to have the opportunity soon to see it in person, I'll wait. So
yeah, that's
what I'm doing. So cool. Let's move on. Earl of Sandridge has opened in a temporary location at Disneyland Resort. I wanted to talk about this for a quick second simply because in January, I went to La Brea Bakery for the very first time ever before we knew.
I've never been. I never got to go.
Okay, well, before we knew what was going to happen to it, before we knew its fate, I was with a friend who was like, let's go grab breakfast somewhere. And I grabbed it and I was like, holy crap, this is delicious. This is like my new go-to breakfast joint. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, La Brea Bakery is closed. I was like, are you kidding me? I couldn't believe it.
It was a surprise closure, but it wasn't a surprise to everyone. Like, it was very weird how they apparently had people on site, like, telling the employees the decision and, like, had it correspond with, like, a hiring event that they were doing. But then immediately later that afternoon, Disney has plans to, like, bring back Earl of Sandwich and says that, like, the Portos is going to be on that footprint later on. So I'm like, so this has been in the works for a while. Why couldn't that have been communicated to other people?
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange. But in any case, just so you know, La Brea Bakery did have a delicious breakfast option. I did go to Earl of Sandwich a couple of times while I was just down there. I went for breakfast. And oh my gosh, I tried their limited time spicy barbecue brisket sandwich.
Ooh.
It's delicious. Like with pickled jalapenos and beef brisket. Oh my God, really, really good. Highly recommend. I have no idea how long it'll be there, but they did say it's a limited time. So,
and they're actually expanding that. So there's also going to be a bar that's coming in there as well. That's not there yet, but apparently in the next few weeks or something. Because there was a bar in
not as part of Earl. Like it's going to.
Yeah. No, as part of Earl. Earl Tavern or something is what they're calling it.
Are there other Earl Taverns?
Not that I know of. There might be some in Vegas. Let me look up the original Parks blog post.
I had no idea about that. But yeah, it is what they're currently using is a very, very small portion. I'd say like a quarter of what was La Brea Bakery is now Earl of Sandwich. And the lines are there. Listen, Earl of Sandwich it should just be a mainstay. I believe, although this location is temporary, I believe they've said we will be getting a more permanent location eventually. So, downtown Disney is a construction zone right now.
Okay, so here's what it says. With grab-and-go options at Earl of Sandwich or table service options at Earl of Sandwich Tavern, both of which will be temporarily located at the La Brea Bakery location.
Interesting. Let's move on over to Walt Disney World because Happily Ever After is returning to Magic Kingdom on April 3rd and replacing the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary fireworks show Disney Enchantment. Also, Epcot Forever is returning to Epcot on April 3rd as well, replacing Harmonious until a new show is created. Well, bye-bye LED tacos.
Yeah, they've said that they will remove them in phases.
Yeah, so this is... listen, I gotta applaud them on the fact that they're like, we screwed up, so let's fix it. It also feels a little bit like... let's erase Bob Chapek. I don't know. I know Harmonious was really his thing. I don't know about Disney Enchantment so much, but I don't know. Like they're losing a ton of money. Those LED screens were not cheap. Maybe the electrical water pageant will be getting some new floats in the near future in the shape of tacos. I don't know. But man, that must have hurt to just say, okay, we've tried, it's not working, let's move on.
Yeah, they never worked the way they were supposed to because they said that they were going to have like daytime shows, like fountains and stuff on there, and that never really came to fruition.
Wow, I completely forgot about that. You're right, though. So, yeah, I never did get to see Epcot Forever. Of course, Happily Ever After is fantastic. So I think these are both welcome news to anybody who, is a fan of nighttime spectaculars. I don't know very many people sad over it, but still a tough pill to swallow, I think, for the Walt Disney Company. So sincere applause for them for recognizing and doing something about it.
And Epcot Forever is a stand-in again for whatever's coming later. Hopefully drones.
Yeah, drones would be great. Or, there's a pretty successful show called Illuminations that worked pretty darn well there.
Let it go.
Well, we don't need a Frozen show. And also, beginning in the next few months, Walt Disney World annual pass holders will be able to visit the theme parks after 2 p.m. without needing a park reservation, with the exception of Saturdays and Sundays at Magic Kingdom. Hallelujah. Once again, still not enough. It should just not have to happen at all, but still moving in the right direction. I just got to say, this is great news as far as visiting my friends in Orlando, because it really sucked to be like, I'm going to be in this park. And so many times they'd have to be like, well, I can get a reservation at Epcot. I'll start there and then I'll hop over to Magic Kingdom to meet up with you. That is just nonsense. So thank you for this.
Yeah, I agree. Although my friend's an operating participant, so he's like, "Oh, do I have more of it?" No, I don't. Okay. Sorry, I should say we don't know when that's happening. They just said coming soon. We don't have a date for that.
Yeah. But this is, once again, it just feels like a bit of damage control. We also got free parking at the Walt Disney World hotels for guests staying there, which, by the way, I know people are like blaming Bob Chapek for that move. That was an Iger move, FYI. And I'm happy that that went away. Paying to park is my biggest pet peeve if it's the same people who own both the parking area as well as like the place you're going. So thank God for that. But, damage control is good, but it won't be forgiven until the Magical Express returns. I'm sorry. That's just a reality.
I'll also say a lot of these announcements, those ones you just said, and the Disneyland one as far as park hopping earlier and getting the free photo pass, those came a day before the Nelson Peltz thing came up. So I think in the proxy that they sent to rebut him, they mentioned some of these things. So that timing was not a coincidence.
Heading in the right direction, shall we say. Heading in the right direction.
After all, it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction after all.
There we go. Tron Light Cycle Run will officially open on April 4th at Magic Kingdom after years of construction. This may be the longest construction ever for a Disney attraction. I don't know if that's factually true, but if it ain't...
I mean, if you count, how long was Haunted Mansion sitting there without an actual ride in it?
That is true. Fair enough. They started that before the World's Fair around 62 or 63, something like that. So it did sit there till 69. So yeah, fair point. But this is, Tron comes in second place. This has been a long time coming.
It would get more of a pass if it was at Disneyland, but because Walt Disney World opened like a few months after, like they could have probably gone a little faster, you would think.
Yeah, let's hope the coaster's faster than the construction, or else it's going to be a real boring ride.
Well, it goes fast and it ends quickly.
Oh, does it? Is it very short?
I think so. Memory serves. I think it's like 90 seconds.
I get it. I'm not really. I mean, I'll do it, but it's not something that like I'm particularly excited for.
I enjoy it. I mean, the novelty is the vehicle, and the vehicle is also the problem. So.
Yeah, so I went on a ride vehicle very much like that many years ago at Knott's called the Pony Express. And it's like
different.
Is it a little different? It looked similar.
I think so.
Well, we'll see. Is it like Flight of Passage?
Kind of, but you lean further forward.
Okay. I don't know if I'll like it, to be honest. Like it looks like an awkward position. I'll give it a shot, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And they do have seats in the back for folks that kind of just want to ride it normal. But from what I hear, that line kind of gets a little bit long. So
there's lots of footage out there because cast member previews are happening as we record this and have been for a couple of days. And in a different move, Disney is encouraging them to share their experience and stuff.
One thing that is kind of driving me crazy about this is I believe this is the first time ever on a Disney attraction that the use of a locker will be required. And I got to tell you, this is one big sticking point that I have with Universal Studios. A lot of their attractions, for good safety reasons, require lockers to be used. They are free, but it is a hassle. And I'm not thrilled to see that like Disney is adopting this. I felt like they worked really hard for a very long time to not do this. Is it this way overseas as well?
Yeah, this is how it is in Shanghai.
Okay. Now, from what I understand, it is like the double-sided locker, so it's a bit of an easier system. This was used on Velocicoaster as well, and from what I understand, it really speeds up the process of like the chaos of some of the Harry Potter ride locker rooms. But I don't know, not thrilled about that, Kyle.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's not unexpected having done it in Shanghai. I kind of knew this was going to be the case, and again, it's because of that. The way that you sit on this, there's not a place for storage except for like a phone or a wallet. And I don't know, what are you going to do? Have cubbies on the other side? Like, there's not really an elegant solution.
I keep saying theme parks would be so much more fun if the slogan was safety second.
Yeah, why can't that key move down a notch? Just because you're flying over people's heads at the beginning of the ride. So what if you drop a backpack on someone else in line?
Just put some nets up. It's all good. Just don't stand under it. Come on. No, obviously I'm kidding here. Safety first. But it's too bad. I hope it's not a trend that's going to continue for Disney, because I do feel like, I know everybody loves to compare Disney and Universal. I do feel like that's a very universal thing, and I wish it would stay there. But it's in the Disney parks now, so there we go. But before we move on, Kyle, I want to take a moment to thank the Disney Coast to Coast patrons over on Patreon who make this show possible. Thank you to Crystal Dudgeon, Erica Pearson, Jeremy Bennington, Robert Scontrino, Sarah Hops, Skylar Sandoval, Jeanette Mancini, Leah Cloney Mathis, Faith Casanova, Bonnie Bagley, Jeffrey Riccio, Gerardo Flores Tanella, Jared Benefield, Philip Elke, Ana Leonardi, Diego Parada Herrera, and Monet Pink. Become part of the DCTC community yourself over on Patreon to gain bonuses like live stream, Ask Me Anythings, and so much more over on the DCTC Patreon page. You can find that link in this episode's description. Now, our next story is something that you specifically requested, Kyle. You want to talk about the Disney Vacation Club new theme song. And correct me if I'm wrong, first theme song? Has there ever been?
As far as I know.
Yeah, I think so.
So I wanted to talk about this because Doobie, the co-founder of Laughing Place, loves this song, and I have other feelings. So I needed to know what Jeff DePauli thought of this song.
I thought it was fine. I had a feeling you wanted to talk about it because you had issues with it. I was watching and I was like, it feels a little cheesy, but like it didn't offend me at all. Like one of the lyrics is "Welcome home to your home away from home."
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, it's a little cheeseball, but like, what specifically offends you about it?
Well, they rhyme home with home. That's the first one, and then just doesn't even. A lot of the lyrics just don't really make sense. It's like tell everyone that this is where we belong. I'm like, I thought it was Disney's best kept secret, Disney Vacation Club. How are we going to tell the world about this? Or a Disney vacation will make you feel alive.
I don't think it's been Disney's best kept secret for a long time. I think they had to get rid of that.
I'm holding on to it.
When they were shouting it on the rooftops.
What about the auto-tune ending with the Disney Vacation Club?
And there was something else in the background at the end. I can't remember specifically what it was, but it was...
It reminds me of a CCM song, like something you'd... like, especially with that like repeating outro. It sounds like something you'd sing in like church.
Yeah, they should have gotten Richard Sherman out of retirement to write something.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote this.
I don't know. I think the music is fine. I think the lyrics are so silly and ridiculous for what it is.
So there's one thing that I will say I liked in the video, because along with the song, they have a video of it, which of course I'll have in the show notes. But in the video, they kind of cut from like an animation clip to like the live action in the parks version. So from Dumbo flying to, the Dumbo's flight attraction. And I thought that was kind of cute. One thing that bothered me is it features a clip, I believe it was the Star Wars, the Jedi Training Academy at Disneyland. And I'm like, that hasn't been around for a very long time. So,
well, it's not at Walt Disney World either.
Yeah, so I was just like, this is not good. Like, don't write a new song and use old clips that don't exist. Speaking of, by the way, I have very mixed feeling about the music loop playing all through like Downtown Disney and the Disneyland Resort for Disney 100.
Well, not Downtown Disney right now because it's Celebrate Soulfully, but in the Esplanade.
No, it's in Downtown Disney right now.
Maybe further down then, because they were playing Prince.
They had the live musicians for sure down the end.
Well, this wasn't. No.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but like all throughout most of Downtown Disney, they were playing this music loop, which is like, I get, once again, we're celebrating the 100 years of the company, so I get it, but it also feels like such a tease hearing Honey, I Shrunk the Audience music and Country Bear music and like so much music that just does not exist at Disneyland Resort anymore.
Ellen's Energy Adventure was one of the songs.
Yeah, there's a lot. So that just, in fact, I would say the majority doesn't exist. Like I said, I get what they're going for. The other thing that was kind of interesting about it was that it's like now all day they're playing that. Whereas I feel like at a certain hour, I don't know, it was 5, 6, 7 p.m., they would switch over to kind of like more upbeat music. It would be more pop rock sort of stuff. And now it's just the same loop. I can't tell you how many times I heard the Main Street Electrical Parade this past weekend. Oh my goodness. Too many times. And I don't think Paint the Night was part of the loop, which is unfortunate.
Which comes back more, the Main Street Electrical Parade or Earl of Sandwich?
Main Street Electrical Parade will always win that contest. Always. But fair point. Anywho, so DVC has a new theme song. Go check it out, and then let us know what you think of it.
Tell me yay or nay.
Yeah, call into the DCTC hotline in the show notes and let Kyle know what you think of it, because he has strong opinions about it. All right, final story this week. During a Disney on Broadway show at Epcot, performers Mandy Gonzalez and L. Steven Taylor announced that Coco is now in development to become a live stage show. Music to my ears. This is great. I'm excited about this. I love Coco. They didn't say necessarily Broadway. This could be one of those things like, Hercules is supposedly doing, where it's going to be licensed out. But I do feel like Coco would be a very strong choice for Broadway. And I also feel like it would get Disney on Broadway out of the rut of like kind of theme parky musicals. I feel like it could lean more toward like the Lion King sort of take, where it could be very artistic, very authentic. And I hope that's what's happening, because I think this is very exciting news.
Yeah, I think that'd be really smart of them if they could. Obviously, it depends on how the show is, but I think you're right. Like, there's so many cool set pieces and things that you could see for that, and how artistic that could be. And then, yeah, I hope that it does go to Broadway. But even if it ends up doing like a regional or Coco Jr.
What if it's just the show that's going into the Hyperion? What if that's what the announcement was?
Then who's got the English accent? I need to know.
There's a new character.
Why did I have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl?
I have no idea what you're referencing.
Well, you could take a guess, because I said Bart, but...
Simpsons.
Yeah.
But what does that have to do with what we were saying?
Because, like, who has the English accent?
Oh. All right. Anywho, Kyle, that's going to do it for the news. Obviously, we did not hit on everything that happened during the hiatus, but we took a pretty big swing.
And today that the show comes out, Disney is announcing its earnings, and it should be a really interesting earnings call for a lot of dynamics that are happening on the corporate side of things. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. And another like course correction thing that was announced, I think today, the day we're recording, is that housekeeping is coming back to the Walt Disney World hotels, which up until now, I guess, was just kind of, every 3 days or something? And now it's like every day.
Every day at some hotels, every other day at others. But I want to know if Full House Cleaning is coming back, does that mean that the option to opt out and get a gift card instead is coming back?
I don't know. I didn't hear about that. But
no, I didn't either, but I would hope so.
But I think that this is great. Listen, if you're paying to stay at a hotel, there should be housekeeping every single day. I want my bed made. I am the type of person that, like, first thing in the morning, I make my bed, but when I'm on vacation, I'm not doing it, and I want somebody to make it for me. Just saying, Kyle.
It's fair.
It is fair. So in any case, lots of course correcting, some exciting announcements. There will be more throughout 2023, and Kyle Burbank will be here to share all the news with us. And thanks, Kyle. It's so great to see you.
You too, sir. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
To read more about any and all of the stories you've heard here today, simply visit the show notes link in this episode's description. You've heard the news, and now I want to hear what you have to say about it. What are some of your favorite offerings from Disney 100? Share your thoughts on that or any other topics mentioned in today's episode. Call 818-860-2569 and you may just hear yourself on a future episode of Disney Coast to Coast. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Don't miss any future episodes by subscribing and following Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast on your favorite podcast app. Between episodes, anything you need can be found in this episode's description. From additional information and links discussed in this episode found in the show notes, to the DCTC hotline where you can leave a voicemail and be heard on a future episode, access to the show's official website, some free gifts from me to you, and so much more. So be sure to check out this episode's description. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the DePodcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at DePodcastNetwork.com. That's DEPodcastNetwork.com.